Today we are going to talk about relationships. Now, another important component which we need to use is a relationship. So it's not just about creating individual objects. It's also about connecting those objects. So in case you have created two objects, or if you have created a few objects, let's say this is your client, this is your project, this is what's the other thing? Consultant, this is assignment, and this is contact. Okay, client, contact, project, assignment, and this is consultants. All right, let's say these are five objects that we were actually working with. Now there is connection between different objects. Client is connected to the project is connected to the consultant, and consultant. Okay, the project is connected to the consultant through assignment. Correct. And client is connected to contact also. Any other relationship that we have? So these two objects are connected to assignment, client is connected to project, client is connected to contact. Correct. So this is how things are connected. So it's important for us to take care of these relationships also. It's not just about creating the objects and the fields. You might have five different tables, but you need to understand how they will be connected. Right. Now these are called relationships. This connection is called database relationship, object relationship. While I'm talking about object relationship, there's a small thing that I need to understand, that whenever there is a relationship between two database objects, it's a parent-child relationship. One of the object has to be parent, one of the object has to be child. Got it? Now, in client and project, in this relationship, which one do you think is parent and which one is child? Client is parent or the project is parent? Anyone?
Not
Every time there is a relationship, so let's understand very clearly, every time there is a direct relationship between two objects, one of them has to be parent, the other one has to be child. That has to happen, correct? Now let's understand the parent child relationship a little better. So I'm just trying to understand client and project, two tables or two objects. Which one is parent, which one is child?
client is the parent,
Client is
project is
parent, project is child. Why do you think so?
because one client can have many projects.
One client can have many projects, right? So these relationships are also called one-to-many relationships. Okay, we also call them one-to-many relationship. Okay, so the side where one record is connected to the other side of many records. So the object where the one record is connected, that object is called parent, and the other side where multiple records are connected is called the child. Correct. So that's about the parent-child relationship. So this is the exact logic that you have to put. That out of two objects, from which object one record is connected to the multiple records of the other object. The object on which one record is connected is the parent. The object on which multiple records are connected is child object. So client and contact, which one do you think is parent and which one is child?
Contact is a parent and the client is a child.
Client and contact, which one is parent, which one is child? How come contact can be parent? One client can have multiple contacts, or one contact can be from multiple clients.
Oh,
Client contact, which one is parent, which one is child? I have a client,
Client,
and for client I can have multiple contacts under that client, right?
client is the parent and contacts are the child.
Project and assignment, which is parent, which is child?
One project to many assignments.
Yes.
Parent.
So project is parent. Is that clear with everyone? So whenever there is a relationship, you just have to identify which is the parent, which is the child. Okay, and it's very simple to figure out. Understand the one-to-many connection, and you will know which is the parent, which is the child. Got it? Now, so the relationship that is being created, let's say in this particular case, consultant to project relationship. One consultant, sorry, client to project. Okay, in this particular case, it's client to project relationship, correct? Now, one client can give me multiple projects. I can get multiple projects from one client. So this is a parent-child relationship in which client is the parent, project is the child. Correct. Now, how do you create this relationship? The relationship is created uh, using a field called a relationship field. So there is a field type called relationship field. Okay. So how do you connect both these objects? These objects are connected using a relationship field. Right. Now this relationship field, when I'm talking about creating a relationship field, now the next question that comes into mind, on which object am I going to create the relationship field? So for now, let's assume this situation only. Let's say I have clients and projects. Let me just assume this particular situation, and say uh, which on which object the relationship field is to be created, on the client or on the project, because I'm talking about one relationship field and the relationship is going to be between two objects. So this relationship field will always get created on the child. Got it? So whenever there is a relationship, first thing that you have to do is you have to figure out which is the parent, which is the child. Second thing, you have to create a relationship field on the child object. Once you figured out there's a child object, go ahead and create the relationship field. That's it. Fine. So that's how simple it is to create a relationship between two different objects. Let me know if there is any question or doubt here. No? Okay. So let's quickly go into uh, the relationship thing that we were discussing yesterday. One second. Right. So here is the data structure that we were talking about. All these lookup fields are basically your relationship fields, right? See, client and project. So project is a child of client. There's a relationship. We see this. This is connected to the client object. Okay. Now, in client and project, project is the child, so the relationship field has been created on the client object. Sorry, on the project object. The field has been created on the project object. The same way, client and contact. Contact is the child, so relationship field has been created on the contact object. Got it? Uh, Similarly, if you look into project and assignment, there's a relationship between project and assignment. There's a relationship between assignment and consultant. Both the cases, assignment is the child. So the relationship field has been created on assignment. Fine. So it's pretty simple. Whenever there is a relationship, whenever you need to associate one set of records with the other set of records, you just have to figure out which is the parent, which is the child. Like if we look into the standard application, account and contact are related. There's a relationship between account and contact, accounts and contacts. Which is the parent, which is the child in accounts and contacts? Anyone? Account and contact, which is the
Account is
parent,
the
which is the
parent.
child? Account is the parent, contact is the child. So the relationship field should be on contact. Let's go and see. Do we have a relationship field on the contact? Yes, we have. This is that field. So this lookup field is used for creating the relationships. Alright, so the lookup field is always required on the child object. Correct? Alright. Now, just a small thing that you need to understand. Now, this relationship, I think someone was asking a question on this. Two objects are getting related. How can I relate two fields? We are never relating two fields. We are just relating two of objects. Right? These relationships are used for connecting two objects. Okay. So we have to understand this. If there are two objects, I have some data here, and if there is another object, I have some data here, like some fields here. Which field do you think will be used for connecting these two objects? Are you guys able to see my screen? Is it stuck?
It was stuck, now it's fine.
Okay. So the value, what value is getting stored here in this particular field? There has to be some value from account which is getting stored here, right? Which gives us the reference that which account is connected to this contact, right? What reference do you think it's taking from the account?
Account ID.
Yes, it is taking the reference of account ID because that is the unique identifier. And if you guys remember the data loader thing, when I had to create contacts, I had to give reference of account IDs, right? So which means it stores account IDs. So anytime you are connecting two objects, the objects are getting connected and they are getting connected through the IDs. Correct? So it's never between the fields, it's always between objects. Right? And through the unique identifier. Is the screen moving? Do you see this cursor moving? So as we discussed, it's always between two objects and it is through the unique identifier of the records. Got it? All right. So now we have understood that how a relationship needs to be created. So yesterday's scenario, we just went with the fields, but today you are clear on why these fields were created exactly on the child objects. Now you understand how it needs to be done. So all that you have to do is just figure out parent child, which is the child object, go to the child object, create the relationship field. All right. Okay. And it's pretty simple, creating a lookup field is there's a field type called lookup relationship. You select that field, you select the object, and you just give the name to the field, right? So it's pretty simple. Now the next thing that we have to understand is many to many relationship. All right. Sometimes there is a relationship between two objects. You know that there is a relationship, but you are not able to figure out which is the parent, which is the child. Fine. Those will be the situations where it is a many to many relationship. So far, whatever we were talking, one to many was the case. So one to many is pretty simple. You just need to figure out which is the parent, which is the child. You go ahead and create the relationship on the child object. Correct? So that's very, very simple. Now the problem is with the many to many relationship. Think about it. I have a table projects. I have another table consultants. All my consultants are listed in this table. All my projects are listed in this table. Right? Now you tell me which is the parent, which is the child. Which one should be parent, which one should be child? Quick. Any guesses? Any ideas which is parent, which is child? Project and consultant. These are two objects. I need to connect. Basically I want to figure out who is working on which project. So there has to be some relationship, correct? Which is the parent, which is the child?
Ideally, project should be the parent and consultant should be the child. But again, one consultant can be working on many projects.
Right.
That's all.
So this is a situation where the dilemma is. You do not know which is because one project will have multiple consultants working on it. So if I make project as parent and consultant as child, then I'll be able to assign a consultant to one project only. But that's not what I want. My consultant is going to work on multiple projects. So once the first project is over, then he will be assigned to another project. So one consultant will be associated to multiple projects as well, right? This is called a many to many. This is not a one to many relationship. This is a many to many relationship, right? Now in this many to many relationship, because okay, now the biggest problem here is where do I create the relationship field? On project or on the child or on the consultant? Where do I create the relationship field? That's the big question here. So because I'm not able to figure out, both of them seem to be parent. What we'll do, we'll just go ahead and create a third object. Okay, it's very simple. Wherever there is a situation where you see there is a many to many relationship, you just go ahead and create a third object. Okay, and this is called a junction object. As we discussed yesterday, also I told you about junction object. Junction object is used to set up a relationship between two objects when they have a many to many. Since there is a many to many, I am not able to figure out where to create the relationship field. What I'll do, I'll create a junction object, and this junction object will be connected to this, and it will be connected to this. So instead of connecting these two objects directly, we'll have to connect these two objects through the junction object. And this junction object is going to be a child of project and it's going to be a child of consultant. Fine. So it will have two fields. One field will be project, one lookup field, one lookup field will be consultant. Fine. And now these two objects are going to be related through this junction object. Got it? Exactly what we did in our uh, example that or the case study that we were discussing yesterday. So project, consultant, assignment. So assignment is a child of project and assignment is a child of consultant. So these two are not directly connected, project and consultant, but they are connected through this junction object. Clear? So look into this. This is connected with this and this is connected with this. Clear? So whenever we have this kind of a requirement, we will deal with many-to-many relationship with the help of a junction object. We'll create a third object just to accommodate the relationships, and then on that particular object, junction object, we are going to create two lookup fields. One for the one parent, one for the other parent. Got it? So this is how it needs to be done. Now just think about one more scenario just to uh, understand many-to-many relationship better. Let's say I have another scenario talking about a recruiting app. Okay, let's say you are designing a recruiting app. In this recruiting app, you have an object called jobs, job openings, and let's say you have certain fields there. Okay, and you have another object called applicants, a list of people who are in your database who apply for job and all. Fine. Now, if I have to set up a relationship between job opening and applicant, it's going to be similar kind of situation. One job, multiple applicants can apply, and one applicant can apply for multiple jobs. The same kind of a situation, right? So in this case, I'm not able to set up a relationship directly between job applicants and the job openings. So all that I need is I'll create one more object, maybe job applications, right? And this should be a child of both. So it should have a job opening lookup field. It should be a lookup here, and it should also have an applicant lookup field here. That's how we have to work on it. Fine. So these two, job application and job applicants, can be connected through the application table. Clear? Let me know if there is any question or doubt here. Very simple. Right. Okay. So we have talked about many-to-many relationships. This is how it needs to be done. Now the next point that we have to understand is the relationship field. Okay. So far we have been talking about the lookup field as the relationship field. Okay. So till the time you are not very confident on understanding the relationship fields, just straight away go and use a lookup field. Okay, that is the generic relationship field. Apart from this generic relationship field, which is the lookup field, there is a special relationship field also, special type of relationship. That's called a master detail relationship. So if you guys go to create the field, under field types, you must have seen lookup field and you must have seen master detail relationship, right? So let's call lookup relationship and master. So lookup relationship is the generic thing. So I would suggest you, wherever you are not very sure whether you need a master detail or not, go ahead with a lookup. Lookup is the generic, the simplest, or the most used relationship field, right? So if you're not very sure whether you need a special field or not, just go with the generic one. Master detail relationship field is a field with certain special attributes. Okay. So what are those special attributes which we are talking about? If you create a master detail relationship between two objects, the relationship field will be always required, which means you always have to assign a value to the relationship field. You cannot leave it blank. Okay, it will always be a mandatory field to them if you create a master detail. However, in case of a lookup relationship, you have a choice. You can make it mandatory. Can you might skip it. You can just leave it as non-mandatory. Then what will happen when the end user is entering the data? He will not have to assign a value to this particular field every time. For an example, uh, see, contact and account relationship. If you look into this, there is this lookup field, right? But this field is not mandatory. So if you have created a lookup field, you have the choice whether you want to make this field mandatory or not. But if you have chosen a master detail relationship, it will be mandatory by default. It will always be required, right? Child records will be deleted with parent. Every time you delete a parent record, all the child records will be deleted, because there is no scope for the child records to stay without parent. Every time you create a child record, it has to have a parent along with it. So here, the child record is always going to get deleted when you delete the parent record. Child records do not have owners. The child record will not have any owner. You must have seen that every object here, every record has a record owner, correct? In case of a master detail relationship, the child records will not have owners. In this case, account and contact are related. If you go to a contact, the contact is a child record, but contact also has its own record owners. Okay, let me click on this contact. See, here is the owner of the record. In case of a master detail relationship, the child record will not have this owner field at all. Okay. Then who will act as the owner? Owner of parent is by default owner for all child records. So someone who owns the parent record will by default own all the child records also. Got it? But in case of a lookup relationship, you have the option of assigning different owners to different parent and child records. Correct? Rollup summary field will work So there's an option of creating a roll-up summary field. What is a roll-up summary field? Summarizing the information from the child records to the parent record, right? For example, if you look into the database that we were creating yesterday, we have number of hours in assignment and we have number of hours in consultant, right? So this is where you can do a roll-up summary. So all the assignments under a certain consultant can be rolled up into this particular field. Got it? Because that's what we want. Or number of hours under assignment and number of hours under project. So all the number of hours under a certain project can be rolled up here. Okay, so we can make it a roll-up summary field. So roll-up summary field can be used for summarizing the child record data into the parent record field. This roll-up summary field works only with master detail. It will not work with your lookup relationship. Okay, it doesn't work with lookup relationship. And standard objects can never be child in master detail. Okay, so in case of a master detail relationship, you cannot make a standard object as the child. Standard object can be made a parent of this relationship, but it can never be made a child of this relationship. So that's a restriction that you have to keep in mind. So basically, you cannot create a master detail relationship field on a standard object, right? You can only create it on a custom object. Okay. But while you're creating it on custom object, you might be connecting it to the standard object. That is doable. But you cannot create it, which means the standard object cannot act as a child in the master detail relationship. If it has to be a part of master detail relationship, if a standard object has to be a part of master detail relationship, that has to be as a parent. It cannot come in as a child. Got it? So these are a few things that you need to keep in mind for master detail relationship, right? So if you need a relationship of this kind, then definitely go ahead with a master detail relationship. If you do not need these functionalities, then you are okay with a lookup relationship. Got it? And just one small thing that you need to know. In master detail, basically the parent is referred to as master and child is referred to as detail. So it's also a parent-child relationship. Just for your understanding, for your uh, knowledge of terminology, sometimes we would refer the parent object as master and the child object as a detail. Okay, so if I'm saying master record, I'm referring to the parent record. If I say detail record, I'm referring to the child record of a master detail relationship. Clear? So there are a few advantages. There are a few, restrictions on master detail relationship. Based on your requirement, you will decide. So, for example, now when you're creating a relationship, you have to see whether you need a roll-up summary or not. If you need a roll-up summary, master detail seems to be a better option for you. Correct. You'll have to see, do you want different parents for the parent record, different owners for the parent record and the child record? You need separate owners, or you think that the owner of the parent record can directly be the child owner of child record also? That's one factor which will help you decide which one should you pick. Then you have to see, do you always need to have the relationship field as required? Are you okay with the child records being deleted along with the parent? So these factors we'll have to basically look into and decide whether we need a lookup or master detail. All right. So that's about the lookup and master detail relationship. All right. So that's it. What we have to cover for today.